Welcome to This Explainer. Let's skip the usual preamble today, because we're looking at a truly fascinating analysis from August 2026 by Thorsten Meyer. He uncovers this urgent, hidden, systemic risk that's quietly building right underneath our entire AI economy. And the wild part? Almost nobody is talking about it. It has absolutely nothing to do with the whole sci-fi fear of AI models getting too smart. It's actually about something way more foundational to how we process reality.
Okay, let's dive into this with a quote that really hit me. Meyer writes, "A single trusted interpreter is a single point of failure for a society." Think about that for a second. We spend so much time obsessing over the quality of our information, right? But Meyer is saying we need to look at the interpreter of that information. When everyone relies on one centralized source of truth, even if it's super accurate, you introduce this massive systemic fragility. So picture this for a second. What happens when literally everyone, journalists, Wall Street analysts, policymakers, just everyday folks, what happens when we all start reading the world through the exact same lens? The real danger Meyer is pointing out isn't that AI is going to outsmart us. It's that these incredibly powerful models might be making all of our thinking dangerously identical.
Here's our roadmap for today to understand how this works. First, we'll cover the Walter Cronkite problem, then move into the Homogenization Machine, see how it's breaking the market, unpack the Monoculture Trap, and finally look at the solution, the Plurality defense. Let's start right off with Section 1, the Walter Cronkite problem, and what it means to be the most trusted man in America. Think back to the 20th century media landscape. Walter Cronkite was the nation's shared anchor of reality, but whatever framing he chose, the entire nation inherited. It was, well, a single point of failure. Then we moved into the internet era. For decades, we've been complaining about how the internet brought fragmentation and low trust, but Meyer points out this hidden superpower it gave us, interpretive diversity. Different outlets argued they looked at the same events totally differently, and that kept any single reading of an event from becoming the only reading. Which brings us to Section 2, the Homogenization Machine, and how we are rebuilding that anchor. Right now, very quickly and almost completely blind to the fact we're doing it, we are rebuilding that single anchor. Only this time, it's not a news anchor, it's a handful of frontier AI models. Meyer observes that from major trading desks to huge newsrooms, institutions are taking all this diverse raw material and routing it through the exact same 2 or 3 models. Models that are, by the way, trained on overlapping data and literally tuned to seek consensus. Let's look at how this builds and see the precise mechanism here. Step 1. You start with highly diverse, messy, contradictory raw data. Step 2. You feed it into the same 3 frontier models that are aligned to avoid controversy. And step 3. You get completely homogeneous output. All those messy, diverse opinions get stripped away, and millions of people are simultaneously handed the exact same read on a situation. Okay, to grasp why this is so dangerous, we have to look at how collective sense-making actually works. Meyer uses the term probabilistic interpretation. Basically, interpreting the world is a Bayesian process. Our systems, democracies, sciences, free markets, they only work because people have different background assumptions or diverse priors. Disagreement isn't a bug. It's not just some polite nicety. It is the actual engine that makes collective sense-making run. We only find the truth when participants disagree, weigh evidence differently, and test their conclusions against one another. You take away that disagreement, the whole machine just stops working.
So let's look at Section 3, breaking the markets, the canary in the coal mine.
Meyer calls financial markets the canary in the coal mine for this AI monoculture, mostly because they are the fastest, most legible collective interpretation machines we have. Think about it. A market literally only functions because a buyer and a seller disagree about what news means, right? One person reads an earnings report and panics, the other reads it as a massive buying opportunity. But when a huge chunk of participants run that exact same news through the exact same AI model, that disagreement just vanishes. Suddenly, the market stops behaving like a crowd of independent minds and starts acting like one single massive animal.
Now, what's really interesting here is how time itself is compressing. Traditionally, a boom and bust cycle took years. Information slowly trickled out, interpretations slowly aligned, and that gave us a bit of a cushion. But now, Meyer notes we are seeing these compressed AI cycles taking mere weeks, driven entirely by this new homogeneity.
This brings us to Section 4, the Monoculture Trap, a society-scale blind spot.
So the crucial point here is that this is not just about finance. If this can break the stock market, it can break any institution where collective sense-making matters. Meyer makes this brilliant distinction. The models are not the danger. the sameness is. Listen, this isn't some technophobic rant telling you to ditch your AI. On an individual level, using a frontier model is often absolutely the most rational choice you can make. But collectively, when millions of people make that exact same rational choice, it creates a societal disaster.
It's a pure collective action problem. We're creating a cognitive monoculture. And monocultures are incredibly efficient. Right up until the exact second, a single shared blind spot takes down the entire field at once. It's exactly like agriculture. You plant a million identical crops. Sure, it's highly efficient, but one specific pathogen can wipe out the whole shebang because they all share the exact same vulnerability. Cognitive monocultures work the same way. If the AI model has a correlated error, we all literally make the exact same mistake at the exact same time.
Which leads us to Meyer's solution in Section 5, the plurality defense, building the digital free press. The defense here isn't to stop using these amazing tools. The answer is to deliberately foster plurality. What does that mean in practice? It means building and using genuinely different models trained on diverse data. It's about championing open weights and distinct reasoning styles, maybe even running local models on your own personal hardware. Basically, deliberately consulting several different models, not just one. Meyer argues that doing this is no longer just an economic choice against big tech oligopolies, it is a vital civic act. It's the digital age equivalent of maintaining a free press with independent voices.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. As intelligence becomes cheap and abundant all around us, are you outsourcing your interpretation to the monoculture? It is so incredibly tempting to just ask the biggest model and accept its read of reality as your own. But remembering Meyer's analysis, the next time you use AI to understand a complex issue, ask yourself, are you adding your own unique judgment to the world, or are you just merging into a society-scale blind spot? Deliberately keeping our interpreters plural is our ultimate defense. Thanks for joining this explainer, and keep questioning the lens you look through.